What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Steve Hassan here of Mason Brew, and which three players are poised to break out on offense for the Michigan Wolverines headed into the 2021 football season? If you can't tell this year, I'm big into lists. A couple previous list videos on the Mason Brew channel here to help kind of guide my thinking heading into the season, so check those out if you are interested. Let's try to get this video to 100 likes if you can, would really help the channel. Let's dive into this list here. Now, one thing before I jump right in, I am only considering breakout players, okay? So consider a guy like running back Hassan Haskins, right? He's a guy I would say is already broken out for the offense. So these players in this list I'm going to go through are primarily ones who have served backup roles that I think will serve a more important role this season and kind of break through their previous role up until this point. So some may seem obvious, others I don't think are, but let's run into it. Honorable mention to Trevor Keegan. Okay, this is a member of the 2019 class, top 200 offensive tackle recruit out of the state of Illinois. Got some snaps late last year after some injuries. He had some promising plays against Penn State. He also had some issues IDing correct players to block, as you would expect from a true sophomore. He has profile of a mauler, though, right? Really tall frame, over 300 pounds coming into the Michigan program. Definitely has the size already. I think this is the year where he establishes himself. Now, third year in a program, that's usually when you start to see the light go on for a lot of these offensive line recruits, and I think Keegan kind of falls into that timing here in 2021. Now, the only way that we won't see him, and I do think we will, but you still have Chuck Filiaga as one of the main guys that he's competing with. Nolan Rumler, another guy kind of at the offensive guard position. Chuck Filiaga hasn't really established himself up until this point, so I do think Trevor Keegan has an advantage there. This is also kind of going with the assumption that Zach Zinter is going to be the guy at the center position. Otherwise, you'll have fifth-year senior Andrew Vestardis at center that would probably push Keegan to the sixth offensive line position. So I think Zinter will be the offensive center this year, and I think that opens up a spot for Trevor Keegan. I really like the profile that he has, and I think this year he'll establish himself as a starter and a really plus player in the run game, okay? Number 3, moving on to the wide receiver here, Roman Wilson. All right, this is the 4-star, 6-foot wide receiver out of Honolulu as a member of the 2020 class. He had 9 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown in this past season as a true freshman. He looked extremely comfortable out there despite being in his first year in a collegiate program. I was very encouraged at his understanding of spacing after the play breakdown, is able to improvise. Right after the initial play is over, he has to find space in the defense, find that window to give a good spot for the quarterback to find him in those sort of scenarios. I think he did a really good job in that regard. He brings a ton of athleticism to the position, 4.37 40 time out of high school, a sub-4 shuttle at 3.96 seconds, and he was just shy of a 40-inch vertical at 39.1. So if athleticism is a question, it isn't, okay? It's just a matter of will he kind of bulk up a little bit? He came in a little bit slight, right? Putting on a little bit more muscle, getting more comfortable with the playbook. I think this year will serve him really well. There were talks of him being a little bit banged up in the spring, so debate on whether or not he'll be able to put that behind him and really establish himself in fall camp. But you have a pretty crowded room. Dalen Baldwin coming in from Jackson State. You got Cornelius Johnson, who I expect big things from. A.J. Henning is there. Got a lot of guys in the room, but I just don't think anyone really has the skill set Roman Wilson does. And if he's able to break through from whatever was nagging him in the spring, I think he's a name to watch in the wide receiver room. And I'm predicting a big surge for him this season. All right, moving on to number 2, Eric All. Okay, this is a 6'4" tight end, 4-star out of Fairfield, Ohio, as a member of the 2019 class, heading into his junior year here in 2021. People have very varied opinions about Eric All, okay? He has 13 receptions, 92 yards, yet to record a touchdown in his career here at Michigan. Definitely had the yips last year, okay? He came in with very strong hands from his recruiting profile. Practice reports really backed that up at Michigan, saying he catches everything, really good catching radius, and then in 2020, dude had some significant drop issues, right? I think we all saw that. Now, you're either of the mindset that he'll overcome those or that he won't. I tend to think that with some confidence, he has the ability to overcome those, and it was mainly a mental thing. And he was one of Michigan's better blocking tight ends this past season for sure. So it's about just getting that monkey off his back and the receiving aspect of his game. I think he's got it in him. and now he just has to go out and prove it in this upcoming season. So if he can get past that, he could be an extremely high-level player for the Wolverines, as long as he does get off on the right foot, right? If he has one drop, who knows what that can do to your mental psyche. But he's number 2 on this list because of the potential he has if he can get past that, and I do think he can. All right, before we get to number 1, shout out to these individuals who are members of the Maize and Brew channel: Dylan Girk, Alex Fuller, Aaron Bryant, Andrew Decker, Sam Lee, Terry Pender, Keno Bear, and Logan Evans. Appreciate you and appreciate the support you've given to the channel. If anyone is interested in getting shout-outs like these, early access to videos, or exclusive live streams with myself, consider joining and becoming a member. Head to the channel page. There should be a join button, and that will give you different options of memberships. Okay, let's head to number 1 here. Number 1, this may be obvious if you watch my previous videos, Blake Corum. All right, I feel like I mentioned his name just about more than anyone else on the roster, but there's a reason behind it. All right, 4-star, 5'8", 200-pound running back out of St. Francis Academy in Maryland, powerhouse program. There is an argument that he has a little bit more experience than the other guys on this list to be considered like a breakout player, right? He got 26 carries as a true freshman, 77 yards, and 2 touchdowns this past season. I love the game of Hassan Haskins, right? And he's the presumed starter at running back. He's experienced, and he's just a really natural running back. Really adds a great floor to the running back room with him leading the way. I think Blake Corum flashed a ton last year. Speed really popped out on the field. He showed an ability in the receiving game as well. I think add a year, gaining some patience, getting more comfortable, I think will do him really well. He's done some work in the weight room. He shared that on Twitter, which is crazy. So physically, there's no question about it here. He's ready. Consider the new position coach, Mike Hart, as well, and kind of the impact that he'll have on the running back room. And I think especially working with a shorter running back like Blake Corum, Mike Hart has that experience, right? Vision was something that Mike Hart was really, really good at, and instilling some of that wisdom, some of that knowledge over to Blake Corum, I think could really benefit his game into 2021. So I think this is a year where we really see him emerge and have a big season. But that's it. That's my list, guys. So what does your top 3 look like? Are there any names I missed or ones you would include instead of certain names I did say? I think I went out on a limb here on a couple of my picks, but we'll see how right or wrong I am in a few short months here as the season progresses. Once again, thank you to these individuals for becoming members of the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, appreciate you, and throw a like on the video. Helps grow the channel quite a bit. Beyond that, guys, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Stay safe out there, and as always, go Blue.